All right, welcome back, everyone. Are you ready to demystify one of the most crowded, confusing, and let's be honest, buzzword-heavy landscapes in tech right now? Grab a notebook, because in today's explainer, we're doing a complete whiteboard-style breakdown of the entire AI ecosystem. Our goal today is super simple. We're going to organize all this chaos and give you a crystal clear mental model of how all these technologies actually fit together. But first, I have a quick question for you, and be honest with me here. When you hear the term AI on the news, at work, or just scrolling online, do you instantly picture ChatGPT? It's completely natural if you do. In fact, it's probably the single most common misunderstanding in this entire field. We've basically all been trained by the daily news cycle to just use those two terms interchangeably. But here is the reality check. ChatGPT is absolutely not AI in its entirety, not even close. It's really just one small application sitting on top of a massive nested ecosystem. So by the end of our time together today, you're going to understand exactly how this whole nested system works. We're going to peel back the layers, starting from the absolute broadest umbrella and drill all the way down to the innermost core. Okay, let's dive into this. We're starting right at the top with Layer 1, Artificial Intelligence, or AI, the big umbrella. So artificial intelligence is simply the broad field of building machines capable of performing tasks that normally require human intelligence. That's it. This is the absolute highest level. If you're visualizing this in your head right now, picture the biggest circle possible. Literally everything else we're going to talk about today, all the crazy acronyms, all the tools, lives entirely inside this one massive umbrella. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, the core capabilities of AI include things like understanding language, recognizing images, making decisions, solving problems, and learning from data. Basically, whenever a machine is doing any of these things, it falls under the AI umbrella. But because this definition is just so incredibly broad, we actually need to go one level deeper to see how these systems start functioning without a human typing out, a million lines of rigid code. And that brings us to Layer 2, machine learning, or ML. This is where we learn patterns. Now, here's the key distinction. Machine learning refers to systems that learn patterns directly from data to make predictions, instead of relying on fixed human-programmed rules. This is a massive, massive shift. Now, I want to clarify something here. These systems aren't truly thinking in the human sense, even if it totally feels like it sometimes. What they're actually doing is executing incredibly advanced pattern recognition, just at an absolutely massive scale. To kind of ground this definition for you, just think about your daily digital life. You interact with these machine learning patterns constantly without even realizing it. Think about the spam detection in your inbox, filtering out junk, the product recommendations when you're browsing Amazon, credit risk scoring at your local bank, or that automatic fraud text you get from your credit card company. That's all ML working in the background, constantly matching your current data against historical patterns to make a really quick prediction. Moving one level deeper, we find a much more powerful subset. Layer 3, deep learning, or DL. Neural networks. Now, what's really interesting about this is the architecture. Deep learning is a highly powerful ML subset that uses deeply stacked neural networks, which are actually loosely inspired by the structure of the human brain. The word deep literally comes from the many, many layers of these networks just stacked on top of each other. And this depth, it's exactly what allows machines to process highly complex, messy, real-world data that traditional machine learning simply cannot handle. You see the result of this messy data processing in the advanced tech dominating the news right now. Deep learning is the engine behind the face recognition on your smartphone, speech recognition when you talk to a virtual assistant, the highly complex vision systems navigating self-driving cars, and even advanced medical image analysis in hospitals. Traditional ML would totally choke on this kind of complex visual and audio data, but deep learning, it thrives on it. All right, moving inward again, we hit a huge paradigm shift in our nested ecosystem. Layer 4, Generative AI, the content creators. Up until now, everything we've covered has fundamentally been about analyzing existing data. Generative AI completely flips the script. These are systems that go beyond analyzing data to create entirely new content from scratch. We're talking about generating text, images, video, music, and even computer code. Notice that this is still a pretty massive category, but we are definitely getting much closer to those buzzwords you hear every single day. This comparison brilliantly illustrates the shift. On one hand, traditional machine learning analyzes existing data for patterns and predictions, but on the other hand, generative AI creates brand new content from scratch. The fundamental goal of the technology literally flips right here. We're moving from observation to creation. And because it's such a broad category, there are a ton of different products inside it. It includes tools you probably know well, like Dolly for images or Sora for video. And hey, notice how ChatGPT finally makes its appearance? Yep, it lives right here, deep inside this fourth layer. It's simply one product living inside the wider generative AI space. But what exactly powers a tool like ChatGPT? Let's drill down into layer 5, large language models, or LLMs, the brains. So within that generative AI circle, there's a specific subcategory built exclusively for words. Large language models are systems trained on massive amounts of text to understand, summarize, translate, explain, and generate human-like language. When you strip away the sleek interface, this is the actual computational brain that powers most of the chatbots you've interacted with. You've likely heard of these famous LLMs in the news: GPT, Llama, Gemini, Claude. Thinking about these examples, it's really vital to remember that they are simply the engines, the language brains, running inside the generative AI layer. They're incredible at chatting, for sure, but on their own, they're essentially just answering questions based on their vast training data. Okay, let's see how this builds into the absolute newest, innermost layer of our ecosystem. Layer 6, AI agents, the action takers. This right here is the cutting edge of the industry today. AI agents are systems that use an LLM as a brain, but add a body to interact with the external world and actually achieve goals. I absolutely love this brain and body metaphor because it makes this cutting-edge, advanced architecture so exciting and easy to visualize. You're taking the conversational reasoning power of an LLM, and you're essentially giving it hands to actually go out and do things. So the crucial point here is the operational difference. While a large language model simply answers a question, an AI agent works toward a complex goal. It's literally the difference between asking a chatbot for a dinner recipe and having an agent automatically navigate a grocery website, add the recipe ingredients to your cart, and order them to your front door. Let's walk through this step-by-step workflow to see exactly what that body lets the AI brain do autonomously. First, they plan tasks. Second, they use external tools, meaning they can actively search the web, access private databases, or call APIs. Third, they complete multi-step workflows. And here's the coolest part. If an agent hits a roadblock on step 2, its LLM brain can reevaluate, adjust the plan, and try a totally different tool until the overall goal is achieved. Wow. Okay, we have drilled all the way down to the core. Now let's zoom all the way back out to synthesize everything we just learned into the big picture, a nested ecosystem. Bringing it all together, let's walk through the ecosystem and connect the dots from the inside out. Layer 6 AI agents represent autonomous goal execution, like completing multi-step workflows. Every AI agent uses Layer 5, a large language model, to generate human-like language, like GPT or Claude. Every LLM is just one part of Layer 4, generative AI, which focuses on creating new content, like Dolly. Every generative AI model relies entirely on Layer 3, deep learning, which processes complex data via neural networks, just like self-driving car vision. Every deep learning model is a specialized subset of Layer 2, machine learning, doing pattern prediction from data, like your email's spam detection. And finally, all of this is just one branch of Layer 1, artificial intelligence, the broad field of human-like machine capabilities. It's not 6 separate things. It is one nested system, with each layer built right on top of the one before it. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. The next time you see a sensational, vague headline about AI taking over a new industry, ask yourself, based on this nested ecosystem, which specific layer are they actually talking about? Because understanding the difference, it changes everything. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.